Still have
agenda item
access.
out and we'll ask you the
I went to Forest
questions.
Service.
Yeah,
Yep, okay.
Is what the plan is.
yeah, that's the
Forest Service.
clarification.
Okay,
We'd have to do an art show.
It's 11.
Yeah,
Yep.
Hey, we
And
ready
they
to
said,
start?
what is the benefit to us to move
Do you want
that?
me to see?
Yeah.
Well, it
Yeah,
wouldn't be through our
would you
private
grab
property.
him real
But
quick?
what is the
with
benefit?
Mike
Doesn't benefit us.
So they said
he
no.
had
Oh, still
something
there.
that,
Yeah,
okay, you had that.
I
too.
have that
Okay.
January 12th
Okay.
at 1. Well,
I tried.
you did try.
I went and walked the whole thing with them. Gave
Mac.
them everything left.
Well,
Gave them
Yeah, you
a
did.
really
So.
good thing of this is what you could
well,
do.
hope,
You wouldn't deny any access to anything. They could still hike to the rock. They could still take pictures of it.
Which was a better route.
And then when she's like, no, not on my property, I'm like, were you with us? You walked with us. She, when we left, Kelly left us. Did she listen to one of those?
No. So,
It
anyhow.
did not matter.
Are you ready? Do you see Commissioner Harvey?
I wish he'd have came.
No.
Is
he
it
was,
already
he
10?
was sick with the flu, that's the reason he didn't
Oh.
come.
I'll tell you later.
He has a
you
girlfriend
read
from
that?
Blondie that gave him the flu.
Yeah. To me, I'm like,
I would,
after what happened last time, like, if there's weird ones, it's like,
Yeah, well,
TJ,
thanks, TJ,
TJ.
because I feel like you did a good.
yeah, you think,
Yeah,
and I
thank
hope
you.
they should go home and listen to Billy, probably Billy would. But,
I
But
just, I
then-
was really honest. I was just honest with her.
Oh,
You're
oh.
gonna get the state of Utah.
yeah,
If you're limiting any access, they're not gonna go.
yeah,
But then when, and so I thought that they were on board with the parking. When she said, no, nothing on our private property, I thought, well, the state is gonna make some, because when you get off into the river, the height to the rock is,
yeah.
Okay.
you gotta climb
We ready?
900 feet.
Yeah.
We are.
All right. Okay, we're going to start our Board of Commissioner meeting for San Juan County. Today's date is January 6, 2026. Our time is 11:01. So we're going to call our meeting to order. I need a roll call, so we'll start to my right.
Commissioner Stubbs here.
Okay.
Commissioner Harvey present.
Commissioner Mon here. We usually ask for an invocation, so do we have any volunteers? I won't look at anyone directly. Okay, will you come up to the front and use the microphone?
Our kind Father in heaven, as we come at the beginning of this commission meeting for San Juan County, how grateful we are for people who will dedicate the time that we need to run this county, to make sure that we are preserving our freedoms and doing what we know that we need to be doing. We're grateful, Father in heaven, to live in this country. We thank thee for all that thou hast blessed us with. We're grateful, Father in heaven, for the moisture that we have received, and we pray, if it be thy will, that thou would bless this area with sufficient for the needs of the people and the animals and plants. We're grateful for our heritage, we're thankful for our freedoms, and we're so thankful for America. And we say these things in Jesus' name, amen.
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 Thank you. We appreciate when we can get people to volunteer. We will have our Pledge of Allegiance, and Lyman, will you lead us in that, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we need to declare our conflict of interest, so we will start with Commissioner Harvey.
I have no conflict of interest on the agenda, commissioners.
Thank you.
I don't have any conflicts either.
Okay, and I have no conflict of interest either, so we'll move to our public comment period. So our public comment period allows our comment the opportunity to speak to the commissioners. We require an orderly procedure, and we ask that the public proceed without interruption from the audience and shall retire when their time is up. All statements shall be addressed to the commission, and there is no questioning or arguments between individuals. After first being recognized by the chair, commissioners and staff members may ask questions. One person may not assign their time to another in an effort to increase allowed speaking time, but each individual speaking time will be limited to 3 minutes, and we do have a timer. And citizens attending the meeting shall observe the rules and good conduct. We also ask that unauthorized remarks and similar demonstrations shall not be permitted by the chair, who may request direct removal of the offender from the meeting. So with that being said, I think, Talia, do you mind grabbing me our sheet right there? Thank you. Thank you. I should have grabbed that. So we do have one in-person citizens comment. So Linda Lewis, will you state where you're from and you can come to the front?
I'm Linda Lewis from Monticello, and you want me to state what I'm here for?
Yep.
And you are Talia? I think I need to talk to you.
We can talk to each other, yeah.
Yeah.
I actually just got really excited to hear your name. So.
Well, and I didn't know who you were, so this is good. It's a good way to get acquainted. I have been asked to chair the centennial celebration for San Juan County. And as you know, throughout the nation, we are celebrating the 250 years. And so we want to make this a special time. Now, since Blanding has their celebration on the 4th of July, I'm going to work closely with them. I've contacted Ben Muhlstein, who works in Blanding, and he has agreed to help us any way he can. So I'm just barely getting started, but I need to know when we come back, and I'll talk to Talia, and maybe we can come with an idea of what we need and probably a budget. So is there a budget for this, or do you know?
Talia will know all that.
Yes, there's a small budget that we have, yes.
Then why am I talking to you? Okay. All right. Okay. Well, as long as we have a budget and we need to, and we'll keep you apprised of what we're doing.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, Matt, can you tell us, do we have any comments online?
There is only Jen's online so far.
Jens, do you need to
Well,
make a
hold on.
public
Sorry.
comment?
There is Joel
Okay.
Brown.
All right.
Joel Brown is on, and he's the representative from Senator Lee's office. So
Welcome, Joel. Did you need to make any public comment?
I did not. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for sending me the link. I appreciate being able to join via Zoom.
Absolutely. So, okay. If there's nothing else for public comment, we're going to move to our consent agenda. So our first item is approval of $18,356.56 in small purchases. We have $2,770 on 2 iPad for the clerk auditors. We have an approval for $1,816.56, and this is for the Chapter 12 or for District 9 and 12 Chapter Consortium Food Sponsorship for Economic Development. And Talia, would you just clarify real quick? You have 2 invoices in our packet.
Yes, so I apologize because I actually submitted it wrong the first time, and I had submitted it for the chapter house, and I actually needed to submit it directly to the restaurant. So I redid it, and I realized it was in the packet twice. So I apologize. So it's only one purchase for that amount.
Thanks for the clarification. Then if we need to pull that item out, if someone has questions, we will in a little bit. So
Okay.
if you'll just hang on.
Yep.
So we have $2,860 on used tire for the landfill, $2,610 on a cooler for the road department, $2,500 on Utah Tourism Industry Association membership, $5,800 for on-site training for visitor services. Items 2 through 6 are approval of the letter of interest to appoint Beacon Bosch to the San Juan Valley Special Service District, Billy Howell for the Mexican Hat Special Service District, William King for the Eastland Special Service District, and Lloyd Wilson for the Transportation Board, and these are for 4-year terms. Item 6, approval for the 2026 Community Service Block Grant renewal contract between Southeast Utah and the local government and San Juan County. Approval for renewal of alcohol licenses for Sunrise Trading LLC, Shirt Tail Corner or the C Store, Halls Crossing Marina, and Halls Crossing Store. So do I have a motion for the consent agenda?
Madam Chair, go ahead and make a motion to approve 1 through 10 on our consent agenda.
Okay, do I have a second?
Can we clarify with the changes that we need to add, that we are gonna approve it with the change that Talia's gonna make? Do we need to make a motion that way?
Yes, Commissioner
Change
Harvey,
it
do you want
that
to
way.
add that change for your motion for that there's one invoice, not two?
Is that the iPad?
That was on Talia's. It was her,
A consortium
the
food.
Oh, the 1,816.
yes, but the number, the amount is the same.
Yes.
Okay, the amount is the same.
The amount is the same, so it's not double. It's just that one amount, 1,816, right?
Okay, yep.
So we're good, Commissioner Stubbs.
Okay, so, Salt second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. There's none opposed. We'll move into our recognition presentations and informational items. So we'll turn the time over to, is it Jens or you?
Jens.
It will be our county attorney, well, Deputy County Attorney Jens Nielsen for our presentation of Open Meeting Act. All right, Mr. Nielsen, the floor is yours.
He's muted.
Oh, Jens, you're muted. Jens, can you hear us? Do you want to text him?
Yeah.
Or call him real quick and see if he's ready to go?
Machines to unmute me.
Oh,
Mac needs to unmute me.
sorry.
Huh, it just says ask to unmute. It doesn't, everybody just allowed to
There he goes. There he
unmute
goes.
themselves, and so.
Oh, there he goes.
Yeah.
Okay, can you
Okay.
hear us?
I've been trying to unmute myself, but I just now it worked.
Okay, thank you.
The video's still blocked. I guess that doesn't really matter, but
Okay, hold on, let me see if I can, I have it on tight restrictions.
yeah, that's okay. It can, I mean,
Let
my-
me try to figure that
my
out.
gray hair is still gray.
Yeah, we can hear you.
You
We
can
just
hear
can't see
okay?
you.
So do you have does everyone have those few documents that, on this
Yes.
open meetings? Okay. The one that's the checklist from the state, let's just set that off to the side for a minute and just kind of go through the others. I think the best way to understand the Open Meetings Act is to go through those scenarios and then, identify where the violations are, if there is a violation, or how one scenario is different from another. So that's what I'm kind of trying to do here. It's important to remember that, the basic concept here is that when the government takes action or deliberates on the action to be taken, that it be done in public. And not only done in public, but that the public have notice of what is going to be discussed with enough time in advance for them to plan and prepare to be there. And then also for the minutes or the full record of the meeting also be available. So that takes in a little bit of the grandma statute, but the concept, of course, is that what we do in the open for everybody to see, and that the actions taken are also in the open. So I tried to focus on a few scenarios that I think come up today with our modern technology. So some text messages and emails, and then also to try to talk a little bit about the difference between administrative actions or discussions, those that fall in the administrative camp versus those that are in, a public meeting camp. So does everyone have the document where it says text messages on page 1?
Yes.
Yep.
You should be able to show yourself and also show the documents, if you know how to, on there.
I think if everyone's got them, that should be I think that's okay. I guess I could share them. But let's just, oh, there we go. I don't know why it wouldn't.
It's
Allow
really,
for-
it is like super restricted nowadays. So
Well,
we just got to work on coordinating it better so that it's not as restricted.
gotcha. Well, let's just go through this. They're kind of lengthy, but they're designed to show a point that we can all understand and be helpful. So, scenario number one, you have the road department head comes to the commission meeting, and well, no, he texts the commissioners. This is prior to the meeting, and the commissioner wants to have a new shop, or the road department head wants to have a new shop, so he has additional space for his equipment and their department to perform their work. And he explains in the text to the commissioners that this will also require a budget increase. So right there, a text to all the commissioners about a new shop with additional space and a budget increase. Are those topics that would normally be in a public county commission meeting?
Yes.
Rhetorical question, I guess. Yes, the answer is yes. But so far, no real problems because there's no interaction and so forth yet, but let's keep going. So Commissioner A responds, texting everyone, the whole group, saying, I support this. I support this request by the department head, the road department. Commissioner B chimes in and says that she also supports, she has some concerns about increasing the budget and wonders why, the current shop couldn't be modified and improved for less money. And then Commissioner C responds and says, asked whether the department head has already worked out a purchase price with the shop owner and whether the county attorney has already prepared and reviewed a purchase agreement. So a lot of the deliberation that normally happens in a commission meeting is happening at this point. The department head also chimes in and says that he has negotiated a price. Commissioner A joins in and says he confirms that he actually worked with the department head to help negotiate the price, and that and feels that purchasing this shop is a good idea. And then Commissioner A also explains why remodeling wouldn't be a good idea. It would cost more, and that the old shop has some things that aren't up to code, whereas the new shop would be up to code, and it would just be better to have the new shop. Then Commissioner B says, oh, okay, in that case, I don't have much concern then about the cost difference between fixing the shop and purchasing a new one. And I think it's best to move forward. Commissioner C responds then and says, oh, thanks everybody, for your input. And I think we ought to move forward with this. I think we ought to approve this department head's request at the meeting next week. And then Commissioner C also says in the text, does everyone agree? And then the commissioners all respond and say, yes, we agree. So let's just talk about the different violations here. So when we talk about a public meeting, is there anybody that wants to articulate what it is to have a public meeting? What elements need to be there?
Full quorum.
A quorum is, you have to have a quorum so you can actually do something if there is a vote taken. And what about the subject matter of the meeting? If it's about the best movie out at the theaters, is that something that's a public meeting? No, but this being a county budget and property that the county will purchase is definitely within the realm of what county commissioners are in the business of deciding. So even though the meeting is by text, it does qualify as a public meeting. What about the actions taken here? Today we can have a meeting with deliberation and discussion back and forth by text, the same as we can do in person. And so, this would be a very clear, at least in my opinion, clear example of an Open Meeting Act violation, because commissioners held a meeting, they discussed and received, they deliberated over a matter that is within their area of authority for the county, and they had deliberations on it, received information about it, and they actually made a decision and even voted on it. So I think a pretty clear example of a violation. So to the commissioners, I think in this little training here today, we can have some discussion back and forth. Do you ever feel like your text messages, or you're wondering if they're turning into a public meeting, or where those lines are? Maybe not.
No, I think for me, I know that we normally do the notice, and then on that notice we specify the day and time of our meetings and kind of our outline of the content of our meetings. And so normally we take that time to kind of go through the agenda to talk about items.
Yeah. So would this be a problem then if the road department head were going through this exercise with just one of the commissioners?
With just one? No,
Just one
because
commissioner.
I don't think so.
Okay. And why do you feel this one would not be if it's just one? Because there's no quorum? Is that what you're meaning, or?
Yeah, there's not a quorum for one thing, and one commissioner can't make a decision. So yeah, it's
right,
and it's just between. It's more kind of an administrative discussion in my mind.
So when I was researching I tried to find some new cases by our Utah Court of Appeals or the Supreme Court on this subject. And I didn't really find any that dealt with this subject, but I did find a reference to a case. I just could never confirm that the case existed. And sometimes when you use AI for research, it will throw out a case name and everything, but then you can't find the case. So I don't, it might be out there, or it might have just been, I don't know, a fiction, but the context was a new app. I think it was called Signal, something like that automatically deletes messaging, and it was allowing elected officials to do a lot of correspondence and discussion by this messaging app that then automatically deleted everything. And I think the intent was more to avoid grandma than it was to violate the Open Meetings Act or the Open Meetings Act. But anyway, the concept is kind of the same, and that is, the deliberation part of it, as well as the decision making, really should be in an open meeting. But then you also have that reality that, a lot of communication does take place and needs to take place and is perfectly reasonable to take place between department heads and commissioners, or just, people in the county and commissioners individually, not necessarily as the group. So I don't know how you feel about the texting capabilities, but the main thing is just to make sure that, there's no group texting as in this scenario here that would violate the Open Meetings Act. Scenario number 2 here on text messages is really more designed to show that, deliberations are also part of the Open Meetings Act the Open Meetings Act covers the deliberations as well as the action taken. So the intent of the act is to include deliberations as well. In other words, they don't want decision makers to have deliberations that are difficult off to the side in the dark and then come to the meeting and, have some discussion, but, maybe their true feelings are in the other deliberations that weren't brought into the meeting. So in the scenario number 2, you have a county commission meeting that's underway, and the county attorney is there to ask the commissioners to support him in pursuing additional funds from tobacco litigation settlement. Under this scenario, some counties had smaller awards than they thought they deserved, and so they wanted to challenge those, and the county attorney was there to ask the commissioner's support to pursue that legally. And the scenario here, has that 2 of the commissioners start to text each other during the meeting, and they more or less, have some complaints about how they're hearing from the public, or they themselves have complaints about how the county attorney's office is being run and what criminal, actions are being brought to trial and which ones are not. And there's some complaints from the sheriff's department about how things are working. And so these 2 commissioners text back and forth about, we don't really think that pursuing additional settlement funds would be a good idea. So that's their discussion. And then the other commissioner texts them and says, hey, my father died from lung cancer caused from smoking. So I would love to see some more tobacco settlement funds that will help others avoid, that situation. But the commissioner didn't want to appear to have just a personal interest. So he says to the 2 that were texting before, can you support this? And will one of you make a motion? And so in essence, they have a side meeting going during the regular meeting. And what Open Meetings Act concerns do you feel that raises there?
Well, you got commissioners communicating on a decision via text and not in front of the public.
Right.
And during an official meeting. So
right.
It's kind of behind the scenes via mobile technology.
And the main point of this scenario was to kind of show that, as elected officials, you have these deliberations that, you express your views and opinions, and you tell the public why, you feel the way you do. And so you kind of have to stick your neck out there a little bit when you do that. And according to the Open Meetings Act and GRAMA, they kind of are tied in, but according to those rules, that's part of the game when you become an elected official. Is sometimes things you might not otherwise just say out in public, you kind of have to. You don't have to, but if you're going to express those views on the subject, the idea is that the public's entitled to see, how commissioners feel about things and what their views are, what their principles are. And so the deliberations here in the texting is the problem, is the public doesn't get to see any of that. And if it's not something the public should hear, then a side text is, probably not the best way to handle it, as far as the Open Meeting Act goes. So I don't know. Any questions about that?
Any questions? Do you have any questions? Commissioner Stubbs?
I'm trying to. I'll just keep listening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, let's talk about administrative actions. So as elected officials, you have 2 hats that you wear. And I know that this is, a lot of us just review, you've heard this all before, but you have a legislative hat you wear, and then you have executive responsibilities or management responsibilities as well. And so sometimes, because you have those two lines of authority, so to speak, you find yourself wondering, when you're in one camp, are you violating the rules of the other camp? And so I feel like since I've been with the county, we have had some questions about whether or not some discussions and decisions and so forth are administrative, or if there's something that should be part of an open meeting. And I think those are kind of some difficult questions. A few areas that help us define which ones are administrative and which ones should be part of an open meeting. The first one there you can see has to do with legislative and executive responsibilities. So we'll just kind of go through this. It's kind of a silly little example, but I'm just not that creative sometimes. So Commissioner A calls a meeting with the other commissioners, and says, hey, we need to improve productivity here at the county. And I have an idea. We're going to interact more with these department heads and work out kind of a rotation where each of us meet with the department head and rotate and meet with all of them each week and see if we can, make sure that they know we support them, and make sure that if they have any concerns, we're able to hear them and address them and so forth. So it's more of an outreach plan to see if the department heads can, if it'll help anything. And HR is even brought in and says that's fine. And so that's what they do. They all agree, and they make a little vote, say everyone agree, yes, we all agree, and then they go forward and they do it. So what do you think about that? Is that a decision and a deliberation that should have been in an open meeting? Is it administrative or is it
Administrative. It's not dealing with any money. It's just a process.
Yeah. So as managers, so to speak, of the, and this could apply to a number of scenarios here at the county, but as managers of the county, essentially, this would be a managerial function you're doing. And so, yeah, just administrative. Now, if you decided to, in a public meeting, talk about this and let the public know what you're doing, it's not like it's a problem, but it just wouldn't necessarily be needed, or it wouldn't be required. Well, let's talk about the funds. Another touch point of whether or not you have a public meeting or administrative action, and that's funds. So under this scenario, you have the IT department that has a budget, approved budget that includes 10 new computers and some software that goes with that, totaling $15,000. Now, I don't know if that's anywhere close what 10 computers would be, but I just put that together. $15,000. So the IT department head emails the commissioners, and he's got a request. He says, I can actually purchase 12 computers for the 15,000 instead of just 10, and that comes with some licensing. I would just need an additional $500. And he says, I don't need to increase my budget or anything. I just have some. Looks like it was $500 that they had allocated for a seminar to attend, some seminar stuff, and they found that they could attend online for free. And so they saved that $500 and wanted to put it towards these computers. And, this scenario right here assumes that the department heads are, working with the commissioners or MAC, whatever the case is, how they're, in their departments. And so they have this request, and the commissioners, let's see, each of the commissioners hit reply all to the email. So the whole group there, and says, hey, good work here. Way to save some money and make a smart move. And they all approve of the request. So what do you think about this one? Does it violate an open meetings? Or is it administrative? And does this appropriate money? This extra 500 and this 15,000?
My understanding is it's administrative because it was in the approved budget. It's not any new money. They're just shifting it from one line item to the other, so it's all within its workings.
Okay, I agree. That was kind of the intent, was to show that if you have to appropriate, new money or additional, budget, then that would, go beyond the administrative function and get into the business of the county and the public's funds that hadn't yet been approved or spent. Does that make sense to everybody?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Okay, sometimes, and this is where it becomes confusing to me sometimes. Sometimes we start with a executive type of meeting. We start talking about department things, and then it change. And I don't know at what point we cross boundaries. And that's when I become confused. I think, okay, are we in a executive meeting? Are we making decisions? And that is the conflict I feel sometimes, that I don't know. I've been in a meeting with one of our commission, felt like we were crossing boundaries, and this person left. And so at some point, I wonder at what point we are crossing the line. And that's, to me, I have been training up to know, and when that is happening. And I think that takes years of training, dealing with the rules, and so I don't know at what point. Can you see what I'm talking about? Sometimes
Sure.
we start that way, and then pretty soon somebody bring this, and it gets, and then it comes to the point that when somebody asks a question to me, when was this decided? I don't know if I'm breaking rules, because I don't think I can answer, because in some of the meetings, we said we cannot talk about it outside. And so the public know that an action took place, but they don't know when and how. But I cannot explain it because I don't know if I breaking rules, and that's all I want to know. And I don't know how they will learn that. In the past, we just didn't do many things together after they passed the new rules, so we have a quorum if even two are together, but it was a little bit easier to kind of avoid that. But I don't know, and it's not a complaint other than a lack of knowledge. And I figure how do we get to a point that we start recognizing, okay, are we crossing boundaries right now? And we have meetings that we don't supposed to talk about. There's no recording for us to go back and review. And that's, that is a question that I have posted, and you probably saw my email. I did post a question to John, and I didn't know that he was not an attorney. I thought he was an attorney, but I wasn't able to get much help from that direction. And so now we are training here, and so I think those are the ones that are hard. At least for
Sure.
me, I think Commissioner Mann and Commissioner Harvey, they have more experience with the grammar and the open meeting than I do. And so, but I want to be able to ask when the people ask me, at what point you guys came to this decision? Because I think it's very important that they can answer that. If it's a meeting that was stated from the very beginning that this is a meeting that we don't supposed to talk about it, then anyway, so I think just because we have dual roles, sometimes we may, at least I don't know when are we crossing the line. it has not been clarified to me to be able, or trained enough to be able to distinguish that. And so,
Gotcha. Well, that's a good question. And I think that there's always that possibility of a meeting that's administrative, that as the flow of the meeting is moving along, it becomes less of an administrative meeting and it starts to touch on points that, you know, are appropriate and should be in a public meeting. And so I think that all of us would be feeling a little bit like you described, Sylvia, as far as, you know, where is that line and when do we cross it? And, you know, I think the good thing is you can always, of course, ask for, you know, some legal advice about it. If you don't feel comfortable in a meeting, of course, you can always say, hey, I think we need to call this meeting. But these points that we're covering right now, if you have those in your mind, then that will help, you know, help you know when you're starting to cross that
but it
line.
had to be something that triggers to say maybe we're, and I don't know if it's money involved. I don't know. It had to be something that triggers that say like, are we making decisions? The HR is not involved. Are we making decisions that administrators are not involved? I don't know. I don't know at what point it triggers that maybe we are crossing boundaries, and that's how and you know, maybe it's just something I had to learn by.
Yeah, every county commission group in all the counties will have some of these same questions. You know, the policies and the, you know, basically the ordinances and so forth, all of that stuff, except for those things that are federal or state that the county's required to, you know, comply with. The local ordinances are all made by the county, you know, such as the planning, you know, the zoning ordinance. And so one way to think of it is, if your meeting is to just implement and make sure that what's already been passed and approved and in place, if you're just making sure that's what's happening, then you're more likely in a managerial, you know, administrative spot. But if you're doing something that changes what's been approved and put in place, then you're in a spot where you need a public meeting. And so when it comes to money, anything beyond an approved budget, you know, an increase in the budget, you have to approve that. That's maybe a good way to look at it. But there's no easy answer for what you're concerned about. And it's, like I said, I think it's a concern that every commissioner would have. And over time, they just develop a better feel for, you know, where that line is. And, you know, one other thing about a meeting that's administrative and that maybe starts to touch on things that are not administrative, you know, one critical thing is just, you know, don't take a vote and don't express approve or disapprove of something. It can just be discussed perhaps. And then in the open meeting is where you do your deliberation in the public, and then you make your decision, and then you vote, you know, one way or another. But there is that line, and it can be tricky, I think. You just got to do your best. Well, oh, go ahead.
I said thank you.
Oh, sure. So let's move to the implementation scenario here. The bottom on page 4. Again, this is just kind of a silly little scenario, but so the county has a rodeo and a county fair each summer, and in the public meeting, you know, some of the details of that event are approved, you know, a budget and some of those kind of things, maybe what the events will be and so forth. It's all approved and ready to go. And in this scenario, you have you have one catering group that's going to supply the fry bread Navajo tacos. Everybody loves fry bread and everybody loves Navajo tacos. And uh, so prior to the rodeo and the fair, the provider of the fry bread Navajo tacos texts the commissioners and asks them a question about, you know, this is anyway. Some people like honey on their fry bread, and some people just like it with salt. And so they want to know from the commissioners, because this was not discussed or decided when the meeting took place and all of this was approved, whether to have just honey or to have fry bread with salt, just salt, or both. And the commissioners say, well, let's have both. So they all agree they all agree in their own little private, meeting there that they want both. And so that's what the provider of the fry bread Navajo tacos will do. So you kind of see the point that you already have an event that's approved, you've got a budget, you've got people lined out and so forth, and there's a question they want the commissioners to address, but it doesn't go beyond the scope of what's already been approved. It's just I call it an implementation of what's been approved. And so that's what they do. And that, of course, would just be an administrative thing. You don't need to have a public meeting over whether to have honey and salt or just honey or just salt on the fry bread. I don't know if on the fly here we can think of maybe a better example that we deal with, but any function that the county has and it's approved and the scope of the function is there, tweaking how it operates, without increasing the budget or changing some kind of rule that has some rule that's in place, then it doesn't, you can always do those kind of things without, it's not a public meeting scenario. All right. This last one, Sylvia, I think touches on your question a little bit. Again, it's, kind of a silly example, but let's assume the county has a resolution that it passes that talks about department heads have to wear semi-formal level of clothing to work. And the purpose is to increase the professionalism in the workplace. And so the county passes this ordinance or this resolution. And so that's what the department heads start to do. Pretty quick, 6 months or so afterward, the commissioners start to, they have a discussion all together and they decide that this just isn't working. And they discuss, the feedback they've been getting and that it's not working. And so they think they should just change the policy. And so they agree on their phone call that they'll do that. They're just they more or less vote and say, yep, we are repealing that resolution. And, we'll do it in our next meeting. So do you see I don't know, Sylvia, if you see the difference there between,
the Navajo tacos and the dresses?
the difference there's a policy in place that's based on a resolution that was passed in a public meeting, and then the commissioners change that policy on a phone call, essentially. So even though they have a public meeting held later where they officially change it, you see how that phone call and that deliberation really is something that should only take place in a public meeting. Does that make sense? Does that make sense, commissioners?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So those were just a few scenarios that I kind of think that since I've been with the county, we've encountered similar questions regarding texts and phone calls and meetings, and whether they're administrative or not, or whether they should be in a public meeting or not. So those are the ones I wanted to touch on. Now, if we go to the checklist that I asked you to put off to the side earlier, does everybody see that?
Yes.
The purpose of this is just to show you and make you aware that there is a lot of information just available and online. The state, offers quite a bit of training online, really, that you can just self-research and self-train. And this little checklist is just an example of something I downloaded, and it's from 2019. So, Mac pointed out that there have been some changes to the Open Meetings Act in 2023. And I'm not sure if all of those changes were mostly related to these notices, the notice requirements. But as I looked at this checklist and I looked at what I believe are the changes, I don't know that the county's processes are going to be affected too much. And Mac, if you have some specifics on the notice that would be helpful here, please, chime in. But my purpose in showing you this checklist is just to make you aware that there are a number of options that, if you wanted to just do some self-research on this, there's a lot out there. And you'll be more expert at it than I would be. Mac, is there anything related to the notice that you feel we ought to discuss?
No, I think it's just they changed in 2023 classifications for specific types of meetings and public hearings, and so now they have it listed: Class A notice, Class B notice, Class C, depending on what the subject matter is. And so, and I think they've also taken out the requirement of the newspaper.
Yeah.
And now all you have to do is literally publish on the Utah Public Notice website. That's kind of the go-to. However, here in this county, we've kind of always used the San Juan Record as also a source for us, where not all of our county citizens have access to the internet and can see a Utah Public Notice. And so we do both. The
state recognizes that not as many people read the paper as they used to. So I myself am not clear on the Class A, Class B, and Class C, the different meetings and what the subjects are there that have those unique public notice requirements. But do you agree that the county, for the most part, the process we have now, it's not really going to change much?
No, it won't change that much at all.
Okay. Well, if you look at this checklist, then it touches on the basic points, and it talks about, at the top there, it talks about the public notice being required, and all the different, I don't know, to me, the checklist is pretty good. If you know this, even though this is a little outdated, if you know this, it's a good cheat sheet for anybody that's wanting to keep their mind fresh on the Open Meetings Act. That's really about all I have. Hopefully that gave somewhat helpful in trying to see how real life scenarios are affected, how the act affects the real stuff that the commissioners encounter, as they do their jobs. Any questions?
Any questions, commissioners?
No, I just want to make a comment on our public notice and our newspaper. The print are so small that people cannot read them. And I think most of the people that read them are an older generation. They're wearing glasses, and So I don't know if that's how we do it all the time, but I think maybe increasing the size of the font may help some of the people to be able to read the public notice better. And there's something, for us to consider and figure it out.
Gotcha. I do remember some people had requests that if we send out a postcard, related to a proposed change in the land use ordinance, or if we put something in the paper that it be larger print. And Mac, I honestly don't know if there's a font requirement under this. I don't recall.
I think the only changes are just the days required to post the notice have changed, and like your Class A, I believe, is a 10-day instead of a 6. And so it's just, if our staff, department heads, elected officials that do post notices, if they're paying attention to Utah code, it's pretty prescriptive. For example, land use code, when you have a public hearing on a general plan updates, things like that, it's pretty prescriptive in Utah code.
Even the font.
So remind us when it
never
comes
the
to
font.
posting notice.
You could increase it.
Yes,
We could increase it.
absolutely. And that's even, that was one of the discussions that I had with Corey recently, is like, okay, we've got to get the public notice going for the commission to hear that general plan. I'm like, instead of doing a postcard notice, if we have to do a notice like that, a mailer, let's do a full page, so that we can get the font. So it's just, I think, staff being cognizant of our public.
Okay, thanks.
Well, I think that's really everything. If there are no questions, I think that's it. Thanks for your time, and I hopefully over the internet here online, it was at least somewhat helpful.
Okay, thank you. That takes care of our annual training, right?
No.
No? We have to do more?
New statute, we have to have this once a month.
No, we don't. Jens, don't listen to him. Okay, thanks for that. We appreciate it.
Sure.
Okay,
you bet.
we're gonna move to our business action items, and so
Obrigada.
we have TJ Adair, Road Supervisor, consideration approval of crack seal machine purchase.
So
Thanks
we have
for
a
staying
crack
with
seal machine in both north and south districts. Our one in the north has cracked open the front and back of that machine, making us need a new one. And so in your packet, there's two different vendors here in the state that we use. We went with the one that's a little more expensive, but it does hold more capacity. And so once we get stuff heated up, it's easier to just keep working. And so it's got a 40-gallon more capacity. So we felt that was a better use of our resources. It was, I believe, $1,000 more, but held quite a bit more capacity for what we're doing. So,
Any questions, commissioners?
No?
No questions, Commissioner. A
Okay.
motion to approve.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll make a second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
thanks.
All right.
Crack seal machine. Just seal the crack with the crack seal.
Okay, we have
Thanks, TJ.
consideration approval of the Utah State Historical Record Advisory Board grant. So Marty, if you'll come to the microphone. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you. So, with the help of Mac and Talia, we looked for grants for archiving. All of the treasurer's real property tax records currently are on microfilm. The microfilm machine we have is no longer operational, and they are obsolete. So we applied for this grant, was awarded it for $7,200. We will send our microfilm to an imaging company, BMI Imaging. They will transfer all into flash drives, which will be so much easier to search. We get a lot of people searching for downwinders and stuff. Commissioner Stubbs should have received a email from the state for a contract
Mhm.
to sign for the grant. We will have to pay the invoices up front and then being reimbursed from the grant. So that's basically what I'm asking for. But it's really something that needs done. We have approximately 100 microfilms with state records going back to 1898, I want to say.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And currently they're all on microfilm, but it would be nice to get them easier access to them.
Okay. Any questions,
I
commissioners?
just have a question, comment, I guess. I have worked for about 10 plus years with historical records at the LDS Church. And I have seen machines and things change and change. And we did a scanning job of lots of local books. That because the technology changed, we cannot use them. And so I just think about the future because we have seen so much change where we store our records.
Right.
So if we put in thumb drives, is there a system in the state that can be backed up or they're always gonna be, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Updated and not losing it because it's really sad when you lose those records and you get used to using them and they're gone.
Yeah, right.
They're not gone, but you don't have the machine to make them work.
Right, yeah. We're hoping the flash drive will stick around for a while. You know, with the changes in technology,
Mhm.
eventually it would probably have to be redone again, but hopefully not for a long time. But the state is even going away from the microfilm. That's kind of what started this. I went to every year we send our records to the state for storage. And their microfilm reader went down. And so they are scrambling to figure out a different way also.
Hopefully they'll do.
And this is what they suggested. We also have, it's called an M disc. It's supposed to last for 1,000 years. We do have some records on that, which I'm going to transfer to a flash drive. And I think all of these I will put on an M disc too. Problem is, disc players are already out of, there's not much.
The nicest thing would be for the Serb Utah has an archive, kind of like the LDS Church Hubs, that it keeps renewing.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes when we do innovating things outside, it doesn't get put in the system. Hopefully they'll figure out a place where we can keep the archives going when the technology change.
Right, yeah.
But thank you.
Yeah, the state does get a copy of our archives for an off-site storage.
Oh, good, that is good.
So we do have that, but yeah, technology changes so fast, but.
Yeah, well, thank you for you guys working on that grant and be able to do that. And
Do you want to make a motion?
So
I'll make a motion to approve the, let's see what, the San Juan Historical
Here it is.
Advisory Board Grant.
Okay, so do I have a second?
I'll second, but I'd like to ask some questions, Madam
Absolutely.
Chair.
Okay.
I'm interested in the records that you maintain. Just for my interest, what kind of records are they that you're maintaining?
So these are property tax payments, and so there's going back, in the early 1900s and stuff, they kept track of how many cows, sheep, acres, they kept track of a lot more than we.
That's cool.
Right now it's just your property tax, ownership, when it sells, how many taxes you paid, what the tax rates were, record of who's made their payments, of when, who has not made payments.
I see. Kind of county assessment.
Yeah, county assessment, the assessment of the properties, how much
Wow.
market value is, and
Okay.
their
So-
homes and land and.
So all your records go back to that first picture almost. over there.
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
Way back
Yeah.
to Bluff. Huh?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, some
Yeah.
of those old books are pretty cool to look at.
Huh.
We have the first 20, 30 years in big books, and we do have those in our office. They're kind of interesting to look at.
Are they falling apart or
No, they're actually still pretty
That's-
well preserved.
that's pretty good
They're
though?
holding up really well, which they're not handled much, but we have people come in occasionally to research who owned what, way back when. So
Interesting. Okay. Well, that cured my curiosity. Thank you.
you're welcome.
All right.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, it passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's
very
great.
much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we are since it is a new year, we need to review our committee assignments. You should have that. It's highlighted. I don't know if we want to make any changes or we just want to proceed from 24 to roll into, or 25 to roll into 26. Sorry about that. Because I mean, you're kind of into your boards, you're kind of into your boards. So I mean, I don't know if we're fine with what it is. We can keep it that way.
I like the colors of my socks that I wear, so
All right.
I'm content. But if a commissioner feels
I
a
also-
change of socks, then
I
I'm
also,
I'm good as well.
I'm good.
Okay.
Sounds good then.
All right. So a motion to keep this same assignments for 2026.
I'll make a motion that we roll this commission assignments from the same from 2025 to 2026 and
I'll second that motion.
Okay. All in favor?
I
Aye.
All right. We're going to move to commission reports, and who would like to start? We met a week ago,
We did.
and it was the holidays. But if anybody has anything, I'd love for you to. If not, I do have some information items after you're finished.
I guess just a quick reminder, Madam Chair.
Yeah.
That there is an exciting conference that is coming up at Utah State University on January the 31st. And you need to register online. It's about engaging suicide prevention. Hopefully we get a lot of folks coming to learn about being part of the conversation in suicide prevention, especially with our spiritual and religious entities in our county, and that they also can be a resource for our community members. And I know some speakers there will talk about some skills that you can utilize while you talk with loved ones and family members in your own families on how to prevent just being able to communicate. So please spread the word. Just doing another reminder, register, be there, be that important someone in your loved one, your close person's life. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Stubbs.
I just want to, along with this conference, also talk about Commissioner Harvey and myself and the NRF fund. And I was going to reach out to Paul and see if there's any way that we can do a special project to help with the funds, because they don't have much funds. I've been looking at other little grants that can help them to be able to to help them with the funds that would be necessary to pay the presenters that are coming. And so it is a good thing. Sometimes we are afraid to talk about suicide because we think it's going to give somebody an idea. But sometimes we have to ask the hard question because they'll be honest about it. And I think is the more we can talk to our children. Sometimes if we see somebody that's down, sometimes we just we don't have to be best buddy. Sometimes our school system is a system of class buddies, where other countries is more classmates. We're all classmates, and that's it's something that bond us. We all the same. I guess it helped when you wear uniforms. Anyway, but so I think to be able to distinguish and contribute sometimes children that are being bullied or something like that. And anyway, so I think it's a very good thing. And if we can, I'm going to contact Paul and see if it's something we can do as a special project to give in. Even if they give us $1,000, I don't know, but I'll let you know about that. And anyway, so I just want to wish everyone in San Juan County a Happy New Year, and that we can proceed and be able to find more unity as a county where we can. I think we prosper in unity. I think we can use that energy to see needs of people around us, and sometimes we don't have the time to help, but sometimes having good thoughts going their direction can help. And anyway, so I want to thank all the people that serve us as our commissioners and they serve our county, and wish everybody a very, very happy New Year. Thank you.
Okay, lastly, we have a couple things that we need to schedule. So you all received an email from Jim Peters regarding the judicial nominees. And we need to meet with each of the three candidates. Of course, we do not have clear direction yet whether the county's gonna, and the city are going to have one judicial, we assume yes, but at this point, that's not totally wrapped up. However, we have 30 days from the date of the letter, which was December 29th. So it's probably advantageous for us. They came in random order, so they have not, the way they came to us, they didn't rank them. However, the committee that met with them and narrowed it down to the three did rank them. So it might be advantageous for us to meet with them first and then the judicial nominees right after. So I don't know what your afternoon looks like on Thursday the 15th, because we're going to have to do it before we all head up to legislative
the
session.
next time we had commissioner
No,
the
it's not
15th.
until the 20th, and then we've got to head to Salt Lake
Yeah.
that afternoon. So
Yeah.
I don't know what everyone's schedule looks like next week. If you can look at your calendars, could we do the 14th in the afternoon? That's a Wednesday. Or Thursday?
Can we meet today? I mean,
We need to meet with those who interviewed them, and then
Okay.
we probably need to interview the nominees. His instructions said they were informed that a decision is yet to be made. Also attached is the letter. Okay, I have also included the members of the nominating committee. If you would like to contact them directly for more information, so we could either each contact them on our own or we could bring any of them in. They have thoroughly vetted the candidates and have valuable insight to the final nominees. So it'd probably be best if we could see who could join us for an hour, and then we could have the three nominees lined up to interview. So
Yeah.
tell me what day works best for you guys.
I can do the 15th.
Okay,
up
what time?
to noon, so I'm open from 8 to noon.
Okay.
would you send an
Should we
invite to
say
the?
9 or 8? What do you think?
9
Let's do 9 to noon.
gives me time to stop for caffeine.
Okay.
9 to noon, yeah,
And all your traffic
right.
and your construction. So does the 15th work for you?
Yeah, can you just send an
Yep.
invite so we can
Yep,
put
we
in the
will
calendar?
send an
And
invite.
so,
So we had that Team Rubicon meeting on
Oh,
that day from,
I thought it was on the 14th.
sorry,
they,
yes, that
they,
is correct.
they had
So
a
we're meeting on
today. They
15th.
had a
15th,
today.
Okay.
Sorry.
So Mac, will you send out an invite?
So at what time?
So let's do the 15th at 9.
Are we having
To
some
noon.
kind of meetings too that I was invited? Was supposed to be today, and I said I couldn't be today. It's coming from UAC meetings.
Oh, yeah, I saw those.
And I said that could be today, but it will be next week, and it's going on every Tuesday too.
I don't have them starting until mine start next Tuesday the 13th. Did yours start today?
Well, I have one that they say we're starting today, but maybe start next week.
Next week, but so Thursday the 15th, if you'll send an invite out to the people who interviewed, let's have them come at 9 to 10. Anyone that can come from 9 to 10 to meet with us to give us kind of what their observation was.
And then we can join the meeting
And then we need the 3 candidates from 10 to 12 to interview with us, so we can line them up from 10 to 12. Is that good? Does that work?
Do you have their contact information on there? On that email?
I'll bet it's on email. I'll look at it as soon as we're done, and then I'll get it to you. And then Una, who is from the Economic Recovery Corps, would like to meet with the commission for a work session in our next commission meeting on the 20th for an hour. You good at that? Okay, we'll schedule her in at 10 a.m. on the 20th. And the public health audit, we got the invite for that on the 12th at 1?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're good on that as well? Any other information items? I don't think so.
I just have can I ask a question
Sure.
to Attorney Mon? I just trying to figure out what's going on with the interlocking. I know we have couple
The Monticello City one?
with the court.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, where are we at with that?
Well, the interlocal agreement itself is fine, to be honest with you. I still haven't looked at it. But I've talked in general terms. I don't think I have a problem with the interlocal agreement.
Meaning, which is, can you explain?
With the
City.
With the Monticello City.
Doing the court.
Doing the courts. There is an issue with respect to compensation. Because, you know, the way it has worked is Monticello City has paid for their own judge, and for their own prosecutor. And so now we're trying to merge that into, put all that work, is essentially moving that work that was being done contractually by me. We're taking all that work and putting it over into the attorney's office. So I think Monticello City needs to pay for that compensation.
So we have it. We still need to have. Are we going to have another meeting?
Yes,
when we come together.
Yes, we will have another meeting.
Okay.
I will get that on the calendar for the next work session
At 9.
at 9.
So 9 for the next work session, and then Una at 10.
And can we get that on? Just
Or you want to switch them?
So in the last work session, you come up with that percentage split that Caden was going to take back on there. Wasn't that for the compensation of how much?
That was only the split,
The
and then they
participation.
didn't talk about this.
Yeah, so that was the split, and I think we explored that, but I'm not comfortable with that split. And to try and explain it, it's what I want to do is write you all an email and try and explain it.
I think they're
to
probably
make it more
nice
simpler.
for us to hear both sides here.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
And so,
we'll
and
get
so-
it on the planning. We'll
Yeah.
invite, same
I
as
was
last
just,
time.
I just kind of, I know there's from Mr. Peters' side, it's an urgency for us to figure out so they know which way to, I don't think it matters to them, other than they want
Yeah.
to resolve so that we can hire somebody. And
Yeah,
anyway,
we'll
so,
get that. So Matt, can you put that on the work session for next time?
So I just,
Do you want Una at 9 to only 9:45, and then they end?
yeah, if we have both
Let's do
those
that.
items on there, the only question is the state waiting on us on that contract to make the final decision?
The
So I worry
state
that
says
if you have to have that by the end of January. You're pushing now into the February 6th or
Well,
Yeah, we have to
February
have it
3rd
done by
meeting.
December. We have to have the judicial nominee appointed by December 29th.
And so to not have the contract
January,
to combine done.
Yeah, and I think we can have that. That's
So
just the interlocal agreement. There's just the
you
issue
just
of
do it
the
in regular
compensation.
Can
Listen.
you meet with the city
Yeah.
prior? So you
Yes,
at
I've met
least
with them. Yeah,
have
I will
something
meet
hammered
with
out.
them prior. We could even, you know, this is something that, you know, has to do with compensation. So I think we could.
well at least have some conversations so we're not from
Yes.
raw coming in.
Exactly, and with the goal that we'll get it passed that day.
Yes.
on the 20th.
Yeah.
So will you put
Mhm.
Una at 9 to 9:45? She only gets. I think she could do it in 30 minutes. Let's say
Okay.
9:30. We need you guys at 9:30. That gives us
Okay.
an hour and a half.
And still have the Justice Court in work session or
No,
just
Justice Court. We will
in
have our
commission.
meeting next.
the 20th?
We'll
So-
approve
Yes.
that on the 20th. That'll be on the agenda to
Alright,
approve
just hope
because
I'm
we're meeting on the
understanding.
14th.
Yes. Okay.
Got it. Okay. All right. Our last thing is we need to move into executive session. So I need a motion to go into executive session to discuss strategy for just pending or reasonable imminent litigation.
Motion to move into executive session.
I second it.
Roll call.
Commissioner Harvey, present.
Lori Mon, yes.
Commissioner Stubbs.
Okay. Who are you conducting that? And who do you need? Just
I
commissioners?
need Mac, I guess, to step out.
And Lyman stays as recorder in.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not personnel. I leave on personnel, but stay on other matters to record.
Oh, yep. We don't. Oh, imminent litigation, you stay.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, Mac, I'm gonna turn this off.